I'm just curious, as Peter, who's running the donut and just trying to make this thing and grow it, what's it like in terms of what's the challenge you're facing? And because we've seen other people struggle with trying to create their own presence online and create a newsletter and grow it, make it a sustainable business and be able to create their niche and their audience and basically be able to live like that and sometimes leave the office job behind. So what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I can start that off with kind of a story that I think illustrates a lot of the struggle that I personally went through and like we went through as a company. So I've mentioned a few times, early stage when we were just launching, I just didn't know what it took, what it entailed. And it might be a good thing, right? Because if I actually knew what it's like you mentioned, what it actually takes to build something to make it successful from the ground up, I may have never started, but I'm glad I did. The lowest point I ever this was a month or so, maybe 2 months or so after launching the newsletter, and was not prepared, right? So I'm working literally 20-hour days. That's no bullshit, like 20-hour days, sleeping 4 hours. I'm miserable. I have no money, right? Like I put all my money into the company. So I'm getting these eviction notices on the door. My utilities are getting shut off for real this time because I can't pay them, not because, there's a winterization issue. But I'm, dealing with all that stuff. And then 3 days after I'd launched the newsletter, my longtime girlfriend at the time, who I thought we were going to get, I thought she was the one, broke up with me because of the company. Right. So like all of this stuff is swirling. And occasionally, like every Sunday or so, I would just get in my car and I had no place to go. I would just be bawling my eyes out. So I'd be like, what in the world? What the hell did you do? You're an idiot. Like, what did you get yourself into? This is just stupid. Like, you should just give up. And everybody's telling me to give up too. And I'll never forget sitting in my car 3 hours away from getting all my stuff tossed on the street. It's like me and I have a dog. His name's Calvin. So all of our stuff's about to get tossed on the street because I'm $450 short on rent. $450. So I'm like picking up the phone in my car, again, bawling, just calling everybody, being like, hey, here's the situation, all. And I call my mom, and my parents were like a last resort because they had told me from the get-go, they're like, you're an idiot for going to do this and you're going to do it on your own, right? Like, we are not an option. And that was what was communicated to me again from my mom. And I'm so glad that they did it. But what she suggested is she goes, your sister's been working summer jobs and she's like a good little saver, and you should give her a call. And to give you an idea of who my sister is a neuroscience major student at Notre Dame. So she's a college kid. And I don't know if how your college experience was. I don't have any money in college, right? Like, I was poor, and all the money I had, I spent it on food and alcohol. And I remember picking up the phone and calling my sister. And as the phone's ringing, I'm going, this is the lowest point of my life. Because like, I was supposed to be this like hotshot founder CEO. Like, I thought of myself as this like super cool, brilliant kid. And I'm calling my college age sister begging for money. And I'll never forget that. But the whole point of this story is, I don't know what got me through that. I don't know what got the rest of our team through that, but I'm sure as hell glad that I made it through. And the only thing I think that kept me going was the successful people in my life that I had talked with said and success is very simple according to their terms. There's two things that you need to do. The first thing is start something, because most people just don't take that leap. So I had checked that box, right? Again, probably from an idiot perspective, but I checked that box. And the second box was don't ever give up. So pick one thing, start it, and then don't give up. And I think that I really took that to heart, and the mentors in my life kept like pounding that into my head, because it does get better. Like, it really does. I don't know if y'all have gone through anything like that at Viral Loops, but from my experience, like riding that stuff out and getting to the point where, because it's not all highs, there's a lot of lows, but the highs are freaking intoxicating, man. Like, they're intoxicating. And that's what I'm chasing every single day. So the biggest challenge for us, I would say, is how much work we have left to do. And like, sometimes that can get into your head mentally, where you're like, man, I just worked a month and a half, 18-hour days to push this big initiative out. and it's already breaking. I got to go back and work on it again. And I know next month we're going to have to go through this sprint to launch something else. And we're like 5 years away from, and that just gets in your head. So I don't know if you've run into that as well, but I would say those
so
are
basically what you're saying is that the challenge is to keep yourself motivated at the times when you don't see the end of it. Right.
Yeah, it's meant, and it's all mental too. It's all mental. That's the toughest part. It's just a grind. And it hopefully won't be that way always, but if it is, I'm prepared for it. And that's the thing that, a lot of times in my head, I'm trying to communicate is like, this for me is a 10, 20, maybe longer year deal. So it's just very recently got into my head that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So like, I'm here for the long haul. And I think that also helped a switch flip in my head too, because I used to be this like money hungry little shit, right? Where it's like, I'm going to start this company. It'll be $1 million in 3 months and then I'm going to sell it, right? It's like, no, it's not how it works.
Are you familiar with Simon Sinek?
Oh yeah.
He talks about the infinite games.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a very useful concept to have, like how what you're doing. If you're thinking like it's a war, then in the war someone wins. But in business, it's not like that, and you have to play the infinite game.
Yes. Yeah, and have fun doing it. That's finding and that was what was a struggle for me for the longest time, because running a business, and this is what nobody tells you, like, yeah, you get to set your own schedule, and yes, it's amazing, and I would not trade it for the world, but just like any other job, there's stuff that you have to do that you don't want to do. And that is kind of what helped me, is like, it's not going to be this way forever. I hope it's not going to be this way forever. But what really got into my head recently is like, yeah, it is, but focusing more on the wins and focusing more on the things that you love to do is where your brain needs, like, it's where my brain needs to be anyways. Because if you just continuously dwell on the negative and on the bad, that at least it turns me into a person I don't like.
Mm. Mark Manson posted this thing yesterday. He said, good life is not a life without problems, it's a life with good problems.
I like that, because it's like, if you have no problems to solve, where's the fun in that?
Something meaningless as well.
Yeah, man. Where's the fun in life at that point? Right? If every day's the same, you have no struggle, it's like, to me, that's no fun.